Hi, I'm Captain John Cole Wilkinson, IMA reservist with the 633rd Security Forces Squadron, 633rd Air Base Wing, Joint Base Langley, Eustis, Virginia. As an IMA reservist, I fill various roles in my active duty unit, including Logistics Officer in Charge, Plans and Programs OIC, Director of Operations, and at times, the Acting Commander under G-Series orders when my active duty commander isn't on the yard. Before being an IMA, I was active duty for a little under 5 years, stationed at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Camp Bullis, Texas, and 2 tours overseas, both to Afghanistan, Qatar, Kuwait, and Kyrgyzstan. In security forces, a lot of my experience is based on anti-terrorism operations and combat mission support. I've had various joint taskers with ISAF, U.S. Army, NATO, Afghan Army, Afghan Air Force, and Qatar military police and special operators. This brief video will discuss 3 parts: the introduction I've just discussed, as well as key takeaways from self-paced content, and what I believe to be the most critical issue facing national security moving forward. For key takeaways, for me, the readings in War 501 and 802S gave me new insight into warfare and the nature of war. In particular, I found Colin S. Gray's opinion that the nature of war does not evolve, while the character of war is in constant flux. Before this reading, I had not previously considered the differences in character versus nature in defining war. The nature of war is based in human nature, that despite revolutionary changes based around technologies, human nature is very little in respect to conducting warfare. War is still the application of violence in a targeted direction, with an in-state purpose of accomplishing combatant strategies. The character of war, however, does change based on the multitude of applications, both doctrines-based and technological. Those dramatically alter strategic and tactical applications, and in turn, alter the very characteristics of modern warfare itself. Going in line with the War 501 and 802S readings, for the most critical issue, I found all the discussions and readings on gray zone conflicts and defining enemy combatants extremely important and a critical issue moving forward in today's Air Force. Particularly in the War 802S readings, various philosophical and political theorists resorted to a similar conclusion, that hybrid warfare, although not new, is the future of post-Cold War conflict. I believe that the multifaceted application of hybrid tactics across all domains lends itself to future problems for all large-scale state actors. With a focus on the opaque relationship between state actors and hybrid warfare and gray zones, I believe that psychological warfare through misinformation is one of the largest contingencies we must prepare for moving forward. Informational warfare is nothing new. It has been a form of sanctioned and non-sanctioned state tactics for thousands of years. With the advent of telecommunication systems that have no distinct battle space, i.e. the internet, domain, etc., and the further entrenchment of third-party actors, state-sponsored covert ops, the proliferation of misinformation is more widespread than ever before. In the case of Russia, for example, the regime is mobilizing every weaponizable asset at its disposal, including targeted misinformation attacks. These weaponized forms of misinformation are meant to delay and disrupt the psychological processes of a population and create discourse among constituents. By operating in this gray zone of the online realm and utilizing proxy assets like hacktivists or third-party actors to spread the tactically manipulated messages, large-scale actors of military power are able to destabilize regions with the push of a button over the pull of a trigger. I believe the globalized marketplace and political sphere, non-military tactics are becoming preferential to illicit political gain, which in turn can promote military strategic goals over time. Gray zones and hybrid competition have created a vacuum wherein far-reaching political and economic ideologies are not countered through military action, but rather through misinformation tactics and intrinsically complicated multilateral domains and systems. The battle space is expanding. No longer can the military alone confront the growing threat of expanding informational warfare practices. So again, in review, I've briefly introduced myself as a security force member of Langley, Virginia. I've talked about some of the key takeaways in some of the readings, particularly War 501S, and also discussed what I consider one of the most vital interests to the Air Force moving forward, in this case, gray zone conflicts and the use of misinformation as an agent of the enemy oppressor. And forgive me for the dog barking in the background. Sometimes I've got a dog sit when I'm not on duty. So again, this is John Cole Wilkinson, concludes my briefing. Thank you.